Alright. So, what do you know about fluid therapy? Okay, fluid therapy is actually, before we start, which is what is water lah. Fluid is water lah. Okay, what is the Okay, alright. Iklan. So what basic of body fluid lah? We have water is the primary body fluid. Okay, they are actually distributed lah. Body water distributed among three types of compartments. We have the intracellular fluid, we have the intravascular fluid that inside the blood vessel, and so the interstitial fluid lah between the cells lah. We have So intracellular fluid within the cell, okay, actually comprises of 2/3 of body water lah, meaning that our cell is actually floating, immersed in cell in water, okay, while the extracellular fluid is within the blood vessels and in the tissue spaces between the blood vessels and also the cells lah. Okay, the 1/3 of the body fluid is actually the extracellular fluid. Alright. So, body water contains of solute, a substance that dissolves in solvent and only particles. Okay, we have electrolytes. Okay, we have primary ions. Okay, like sodium, potassium, chloride, phosphate, and also bicarbonate lah. Okay, actually, water is actually comprised in our body, in animals. Actually, it represents also the amount of water we have on Earth. Okay, so on Earth we have around 80% of Earth is actually covered by water. Okay, only 20% is covered by land lah. We have vast majority of oceans, sea, lakes, whatever, falls, or detergent dan sebagainya. They are actually consist of water lah. Alright. So we know that you learn during your primary 3. Kod dia 3 belajar about cations and ions kan. Okay, cations actually the positively charged ions. We also have an ion which is the negatively charged ion lah. So body water is a solvent in biological system. Okay, so in order for it to actually maintain equilibrium, so they move up intracellular and also extracellular. Okay, in its concentration gradient lah. Let's say when there is a low amount of water inside the intracellular fluid, okay, they will actually the water from the extracellular will actually goes into the intracellular to maintain the equilibrium lah, because you know that 2/3 of intracellular fluid of 2/3 of water is actually inside the intracellular fluids lah. So extracellular fluid is between intravascular space, blood vessels, and the interstitial space. Tissue maintain the fluid balance with the extracellular fluid compartment lah. So fluid exchange actually occurs only across the capillary walls. Okay. So fluid therapy in animals, alright, so it may involve the use of crystalloid and also colloids. Okay, so crystalloids are diffusible substances that dissolve in solutions. Colloids are non-diffusible substances. Okay, I will later actually explain what is crystalloid and also what is colloid and examples lah. So the basis for fluid therapy depends on the animal hydration status. Okay, I can open this table now. Oh shoot. Sekejap I find this table first. Sebentar, I stop sharing. Okay. Okay, something wrong with the files. I cannot open it. I don't know why. You have the file or not with you? Inside Putra Blast, ada tak file tu? Actually, estimating level of hydration. Do you have the file with you on Putra Blast?
Tak boleh buka.
Tak boleh buka Okay, never mind. Nanti I will have to replace the file lah later on. Tak apa, we continue lah. Okay, what actually how to share this? Okay. All right. What actually basis of the food therapy depends on the animal. I said okay, it's based on the percentage of water loss lah, or which is the percentage of dehydration in the animals lah. Okay, let's say the most severe case of dehydration is when the animal lost around 8 to 10% of water from the body. You imagine for us, sometimes we think that 8 or to 10% is quite small. But imagine only an 8 to 10% dehydration suffering dehydration actually can be fatal to an animals lah or humans lah. Okay, when you can see that there's some signs actually we have with patients with actually having 8 to 10% dehydration, when you can see that the skin become very stiff, and also we can see the eyeballs start to sunken eyeball, and also very dry mucous membrane. Okay, and also in animals, we can see if the animal you want to check for this dry mucous membrane, you can always look at the conjunctivitis. Maybe the gum. Okay, the gum, and also for females, you can actually check the vulva lah. Okay, if the vulva is dry, okay, you can see actually the estimate what the hydration status lah. If it's around 4 to 7% dehydration, okay, there is, you can see, start to see some of the changes lah. Okay, you can actually Google the the table lah, because it depends. Certain table, they have reference, they have a much I would say different explanation on the percentage of dehydration lah, because certain people say that when you can start certain people say when you can start to see some sunken eyeball, maybe they say only 2%. Certain say that when an eyeball start to sunk, it becomes 5%. Okay, it all depends on the animals lah. Okay, and also depends on the how we interpret the dehydration status of the animals lah. Okay, it is something that also subjective, meaning that if a person next to you, your friend, maybe have much different classifications for dehydration status, okay, then the next person be next to you like that. So again, in terms of fluid therapy, if we say that animals are having dehydration, the percentage actually plays quite a very, not to say important but a very minor role okay. The first thing actually to do is actually the first objective is actually to replace whatever losses to the animals lah. It doesn't matter. For therapy, it doesn't matter if you actually overdose the animal with some fluids, okay. But the overdose not too much lah. Let's say if the animals you calculate the amount of fluid hydration around 100 mils. If you give 200 mils, that's not much of a different lah. Okay, unless if you say you give 100 ml and you give 2 liters, that's please 2 liters. Okay, that's actually totally different story. You don't want to actually overhydrate the animals too much lah. Okay, so therapy can replace water, sodium, potassium, and sulfur electrolytes, and restore hydrogen ion balance lah, which is the pH balance lah. Okay, so what is the routes of fluid administration? I think the routes of administration also already told you before during the practicals lah on large animals lah. I think the tarifah will be also actually explained to you lah previously. So the most common route of fluid administration is the oral lah. Okay, because it's advantageous, it's actually safest and also the most easiest lah. Again, what's this? Let's check. Somebody asked me to do this annotating. Okay, never mind. Okay, all right. So again, some people actually quite eager lah kan. Okay, new in the clinics, new as a new veterinarians graduating, like last yesterday graduate, and suddenly actually having to face a case where they requires animals to give fluid because of dehydration. Okay, first of all, before you wanted to give fluid therapy, check whether the animal can drink on itself. Okay, don't simply you say, okay, animal is dehydration, go straight away actually give intravenous therapy when the animal actually can drink on its own, which is very embarrassing for you lah, because embarrassing for us lah, because animal can still drink. Why bother giving them drips? Okay, right. That's why before you wanted to give, if you think the animal is dehydration, if you can still drink on its own, it's better to give orally lah. Okay. Okay, disadvantage of using oral is less rapid absorption. Okay, and also if you force to give the animal fluids through oral, the animal is quite weak. Okay, it can also lead to possible aspiration. Okay, going to the lungs, and the animal can suffer from aspiration, pneumonia lah. You know what's pneumonia? Inflammation of the lungs. And also, if you give oral to vomiting animals, cannot be used because tendency for the animal to actually vomit back the fluids, okay, will be chances quite high lah. All right. Next is subcutaneous. Okay, it's relatively easy to administer. Okay, if you know how to locate the subcutaneous area, okay, it's relatively easy to administer lah. Unless if you are not actually know what is the subcutaneous area in a cat or in a dog, then you have a problem lah to give this relatively easy. Okay, so absorption distributed over time. Have a very evenly distributed absorption lah. The period is very longer lah absorption lah. However, there is actually possible infections lah. Let's say if you're using a needle, let's say you wanted to give subcutaneous fluids to a cat, and then you use the same needle for another cat. Okay, the cat is actually having infection, you can transmit the infections from the needle lah. Iatrogenic infection, we call it. Okay, give the needle, the dirty needle to another cat, you can get the infections lah. And also you must use isotonic fluids. Okay, like normal saline 0.9% normal sodium chloride. Why you cannot use hypertonic solution? Because if you give hypertonic solution, okay, osmotic pressure, okay, meaning that area where they have an increased osmotic pressure, we actually will push lower concentration, okay, we actually push the fluids from the body into the subcutaneous space. That's why you cannot use the hypertonic. Okay, if you use hypotonic solution, okay, the absorptions might be quite rapid lah. Okay, rapid sometimes is good, okay, if it's emergency cases, but if sometimes the too rapid, it can be dangerous also to the animals lah. And also they might have a slower absorption lah for the subcutaneous route. Next is okay. Next is actually intravenous lah. Okay, this is actually the topic of our practical for today lah, to give intravenous fluids lah. This is the most commonly given lah if the animal is actually moribund, okay, maybe actually paralyzed, okay, and you cannot drink on its own, okay, and it's quite weak, okay. This is one of the famous lah, or most commonly used route lah, is the IV lah, fluids lah. Okay, advantage of giving IV is actually can give a precise amount if given is very rapidly, and you can also use various tonicities lah. You can also use normal saline, you can isotonic solution, you can use hypertonic solution, and also you can use hypotonic solution. Disadvantages of using intravenous is that you can have a possible fluid overload and also vessel damage. Okay, and requires close monitoring lah. Because why is close monitoring? Sometimes when you use intravenous route, when you insert the needle into the tube and also the IV line, sometimes when you don't monitor a cat or a dog that is actually they can actually tangle lah. Okay, they can actually move. It's a foreign thing on their hand, on their legs, on their limbs. So they actually quite excited with it. They can roll with the IV line, and it actually can cause the fluid to be stuck on the IV line, and also the fluid go inside the animals lah. That's why you have to do a close monitoring lah. Okay, what we do in the wards, if you wanted to give IV fluids to the animals, when you come to the wards first, if you have a case, later on when you go to DVM4, DVM5 when you actually have to handle cases in the wards. And it happened your case is actually animals on fluid therapy, on intravenous therapy. The first thing when you come in the wards in the morning is need to check for their IV line. That's the first thing to do. Okay, check whether the IV line is actually not stuck, or actually the IV line, also maybe the area where you actually insert the needle and also the tube, whether it's actually clean and also that it's not actually detached from this thing. Okay, right. These are the things that we have to. It's why it requires close monitoring. It's just time consuming actually, but quite tedious. But there's nothing we can do lah. Okay, that's actually one of the disadvantages lah. And also must be sterile. Okay, because it actually goes to the IV, to the venous, to the vein. So I don't want to introduce any infections through the systemic infections the transmission that travels from the blood vessels goes throughout the body Okay, that's why the area or maybe the equipment used must be sterile Okay, a certain you can see in our hospital in UVH, the way we teach students actually because we are a teaching hospital, the way we actually teach students actually to perform an aseptic technique the best as you can because that's why we see each time we have case, the IV that we use is actually discarded We always use a fresh and new IV set for each different animals Okay, but I know sometimes in the private practice or sometimes somewhere else they recycle because the IV line is actually quite expensive, the set itself but it's fine to recycle, to use the same line, but make sure you actually sterilize the equipment before giving it to other different patients. Okay, next is actually to give fluids through intraperitoneal through the abdominal cavity, the peritoneal cavity. Alright, the advantage is actually giving can have a relatively rapid absorption and also can be used when IV access is not accessible. Okay, we have a very, very, very weak animals, dehydrated animals. Sometimes the IV becomes occluded, the vein becomes occluded. So you cannot even insert a needle there because sometimes you can see the skin itself, you cannot see the vein or the blood vessels. So, but the animals requires fluids, you can give it through the stomach through the intraperitoneal cavity Okay, again, we have a possible infection because the needle travel from the outside of the body although the needle is actually sterile, but when actually spoke to the skin and the skin is actually not dirty the fur, the hair of the animals so it introduces the infections into the peritoneal cavity. That's one of the things that is possible using the intraperitoneal Okay, that's why if you want to give it to the peritoneal, make sure you actually wipe the area with alcohol, 70% alcohol to make it sterilized before inserting the needle or maybe shave a bit the hair on that particular area before inserting the needle. Okay, you cannot use hypertonic solution. Why? Because if you give hypertonic solution, okay, all the extracellular fluid, intracellular fluid actually will go out from the intracellular fluid. Actually make the dehydration status worsen Okay, that's why you cannot use the hypertonic solution. Okay, so if animals are after doing abdominal surgery, okay, if you give fluid through the abdominal cavity, actually will hinder, okay, meaning that the recovery process on the stomach. Let's say you have a case where you do a stomach surgery, then you open the stomach to actually remove foreign body. Inside, for example, if the cat or the dog actually ingests foreign body, a tennis ball, okay, a remote control, whatever, right? PS5, whatever. When you do the surgery and you have this, you have to use this absorbable suture. You know absorbable suture belajar belum? Surgery next semester you belajar about absorbable suture. Suture actually we use for internal organs to actually suture. Suture meaning that to sew jahit So this absorbable suture when actually exposed to this fluid they can actually the suture can actually digested by this fluid, because there's a lot of electrolyte inside there. So the area where the suture can actually break That's why it is not used for animal, was just undergone abdominal surgery. Next, actually, to give intraosseous lah. Intraosseous is actually to give through the bones lah. Okay, intraosseous Okay, they are used. Okay, the area where you give normally this fluid is actually the bone near the femoral head lah. Okay, next semester when you learn surgery, there's one procedure called as intramedullary pinning. Okay, where they put, it's actually you give you have to actually, you have a fracture on the femur, you want to give you want to put like a wire or a rod. Okay, the access actually on the area near the femoral head. It's the same thing for intraosseous. There's the area on the femoral head. Okay, when you need to administer the fluids lah. Actually useful for small animals, birds and pocket pets lah. Any examples of pocket pets, you know? What example of pocket pets? Boys, pocket pet is not something inside your trousers. For boys lah. Okay. Alright. Any example of pocket pets? Pocket pets.
Doctor, is it gecko like you put in the pocket?
Gecko ke, you know, sugar gliders. You know sugar gliders? They are all pocket pets lah. Okay. Not Pokemon. Pokemon is not a pocket pets. Alright. So, disadvantage of using this intraosseous, actually they have lack of confidence in administering fluid via this route lah. Okay, if you are very not confident to give, okay, for example, you are not some people they use ultrasound guided okay, to actually see whether they actually put the animal, because you see ultrasound to give for bone. Bone is actually bone structure that can, in radiograph is fine, but to give using ultrasound guide, although it's ultrasound guided for soft tissue, okay, but for bones we have to use X-ray. Okay, so that's why try to avoid lah. If you have other routes intraperitoneal lah, IV, subcut, oral, don't attempt to do if you're not. I'm also not confident to give intraosseous, because we actually tendency to give infections to the area lah. You imagine osteomyelitis when you introduce an infection into the bone in the bone marrow. Osteomyelitis is the most caused by infection, is the most difficult to treat. Okay, osteomyelitis. That's why you can see if animals with osteomyelitis if not treated, they can actually lead to amputation of the limb. Very, very difficult to treat. Even antibiotics to penetrate the area also not going to work that efficient as other places. Okay, so you want to treat the animal because of dehydration. Okay, but then you introduce another thing. Okay, alright. The last one is actually erectally. Okay, advantage is actually they have a good absorption and also rapid absorption, but normally people don't really use not frequently use We use rectal if you want to do enema lah. Okay, give laxative in animals that they having constipation, they will use. They jarang lah. Then normally we don't use or to give fluids Although they have a good and also rapid absorption. Okay. Alright, the tonicity of fluids we have to give to the animal. There are 3 types. You know, you learn this during your tadika kemas. Isotonic solution has the same osmotic pressure as blood and also extracellular water. Hypotonic solution. Okay, so hypertonic, you know what's that lah. So I don't want to actually explain more lah. Okay, this is the graph, figures you can see image you can see a lot of time When you put an isotonic solution, you put a blood RBC, there's a RBC represent the red blood cells. What happened? Okay, the red blood cells looks handsome look like the way it is So when you give hypotonic, what happened? Blood vessels, all the water goes inside the cells. Okay, they become bloated. And also if you give hypertonic, okay, you can see that the blood becomes crenated Crenasi the word in Malay is called crenasi or crenated. It's crooked. Okay, so Alright, type of crystalloid. Sometimes when we have dehydration because of vomiting, with diarrhea, animals that tends to have loss of these crystalloids lah. Okay, so we have certain fruits okay, actually considered as crystalloids in their respective tonicity. Okay, for example, if you want to use crystalloid which is isotonic, okay, we have 0.9% sodium chloride. Okay, normal saline is very common. Okay, we also lactic ringer and our solution, they are considered as isotonic crystalloids. And we also have normoxide, also plasmalite lah. Okay, they are actually the trade name lah for this crystalloid, isotonic crystalloid. And for the hypotonic crystalloid, we have 5% dextrose. Okay, the way we actually normally we put in on the, let's say lah, just after this you become fat, you want to give lah to your people actually doing your work lah. Okay, you just put there D5W. Tapi janganlah macam itu because you are the one yang faham lah kan. People actually learn about this and faham, then you can actually put their sense. You katalah D5W lah. Is it more medically look lah. Okay. Alright, and also quarter normal saline and also half normal saline is considered as also hypotonic crystalloids. And for hypertonic crystalloid, we have 0.9% normal saline together with 5% dextrose. They are called as hypertonic crystalloid, and also 10% dextrose in water and 3% normal saline. Okay. Alright. Sometimes food therapy is also accompanied by colloids. Let's say we also have animal having hypovolemic shock lah. We have an animal that actually lost blood. Okay, blood accompanied by also loss of fluids, for example. Like for example, we have hemorrhagic diarrhea, where the animal actually losing blood and also at the same time losing fluids. So you can give this crystalloid together with colloids. We have two types of colloids. We have natural colloids, which is plasma, albumin, also whole blood. Okay, whole blood is considered as blood transfusion . Okay, we also have synthetic colloids. We have dextrans, hydroxylated, and also oxypolygenetic. They are all synthetic colloids. Okay. So fluid additive. Okay, you also can give some sort of fluid additive to accompany the crystalloid and also colloid in some cases. Okay, additive is actually normally people give additive based on whatever losses the animal encountered . For example, if the animal is actually having losses of diarrhea, we have a lot projectile diarrhea, a lot of these electrolytes actually lost from the body. You can give additive okay, such as 5% dextrose, potassium, calcium, vitamin. But normally we don't give depends on cases because the crystalloid and also colloid actually can cover most of the decrease in these electrolytes in the body of the animals. Okay, this is the most common no most important How do you want to calculate fluid volumes Okay, there's a couple of school of thoughts. Okay, some people said in order to actually calculate fluid volumes, need to be replaced. Some book say that we only need to give maintenance volume. Okay, don't have to calculate the ongoing fluid loss and also dehydration. Okay, but certain school of thought saying that you have to actually calculate the all three. Okay, certain school of thought say that you can only you only calculate the ongoing fluid loss and also the maintenance. You don't have to actually calculate the hydration status. But for the term of knowledge I'm going to actually teach you all three to consider all three requirement before replacing the fluids for the animals Okay. So we have to consider three things. Okay. First, actually the rehydration status of the animals. So how many need to rehydrate. Also the maintenance volume for the animals in order for it to actually undergo a normal equilibrium, okay, main physiological functions And the third is actually to the ongoing fluid loss. Okay. For example, the owner managed to actually tell you lah, yesterday my cat vomited like 20 mils of water, or vomited or diarrhea like 100 mils of water. Okay, that one is actually we can actually put into consideration. But this one is difficult because if you later on when you actually encounter this kind of cases, when you ask, can you estimate how much your cat actually vomited? Macam gini lah kot. Macam banyak besar cawan lah. Okay. It's not accurate at all. Okay, but we can actually put that also lah. Or that's why some people they don't really actually calculate lah the ongoing feed loss lah inside their replacement volume. Okay, so make sure the unit of measure they are the same when performing these calculations. Okay, make sure the volumes make sense. We don't give 1,000 liters to a 4 pound cat. You must remember lah. If you when you calculate, you say, oh, you have like 3 kilogram cat. You say, oh, takkan lah macam you get to give 1 liter, right? Or maybe 2 liters kan. Those things you have to actually consider. Make sure the volumes, make sure the units are correct. Okay, example you have an adult 14 pounds cat with 3% dehydration comes into the clinic. 3% dehydrations come into the clinic is always based on the assumptions by you lah, subjective estimations lah by the veterinarians lah. Okay, it's estimated that the cat vomited 100 ml of fluid overnight. Okay, this is actually estimation that was told by the owner lah before they actually bring the cats to the clinics lah. So you have two information over there. You have three lah. You have the rehydration status, in which you need to rehydrate 3% fluids loss for the animals. Second is that you have the ongoing fluid loss, which is 100 ml. Okay. So you know that the maintenance volume you don't have, right? So this is the maintenance volume lah for animals, for small animals. Okay, maintenance fluids can be dosed at 50 ml per kilogram per day in adults and 100 mils per kilogram per day in young animals. Okay, you might argue, you say, why small animals, okay, young animals, although they are small, they actually need more than adult animal, which is big, only 50 ml. Only 50 the maintenance fluid. Okay, you must understand, young animals, the metabolism of young animals, they are much more higher than adult animals. When you become older, later on, you actually, the metabolism, you become slower. That's why, developing people, actually growing people, although they eat 10 tons of meat per day, they still can maintain their body weight because their metabolism is very high. They actually growing. While for young the animal, if you eat only 1 gram of meat, you actually increase in 1 kilo of body weight because metabolism is very low. Same thing lah here. Alright. So you have the reaction fluid is based on the estimated percent of dehydration. So you times the dehydration status percent with the weight in kilogram, you get deficit in liters. And the ongoing fluid loss is an estimation based on the additional loss of fluid due to vomiting or diarrhea. In that case, you see that the animal having 100 ml. So first step, you actually convert 14 pounds, you have 6.4 kilogram. So 6.4 kilogram times 50 ml. 50 ml is actually the maintenance volume lah. It's an adult cat, so you have 318 ml. Check my maths betul ke tak? 318 ml per day. So next step is really to calculate the replacement for dehydration. Okay, you have 3%. Okay, equals to 0.03. Okay, if it's 30%, it's 0.3. But normally 30% considered dead already. You don't have 30% dehydrated cat, or 30% dehydrated cow, or 30% dehydrated dog. Okay, so it equals to 0.192 liter, or around 192 mils lah. So you add together everything, you have 318 is the amount of maintenance volume. 192 mil is actually the replacement volume. and the 100 mil actually you get from the ongoing feed loss. So you get around 610 mils of fluid you need to replace for the animals in 24 hours. Okay, this is all calculation based on 24 hours lah, 1 day lah. Okay. So how you want to give, how quickly it is given? Alright, rate of replacement parallels the severity of the dehydration. Okay. Ideally, we are given over a 24-hour period, but in cases which is quite severe, you can actually fasten the delivery of the fluids lah. Instead of giving that 610 ml in spread in 24 hours, you can give maybe 10 ml in 12 hours. The only thing you have to do is actually to adjust the drip set, okay, the flow of the drips, okay, for it to be faster for the animals to actually absorb the fluids much more quicker. So fluids are administered with either an adult administration set that delivers 10 to 15 drops per mil. It is called as macro drip set. Okay, 10 to 15 mils is actually the range, but now the standard Brown, BRAUN, the company that actually provide the one that we use at UBH, that one they use 20 drops per mil, meaning that 20 drops per mil equals to 1 mil of fluids. Okay, and the pediatric administration set that delivers 60 drops per mil, this one is standard as well because for the brown, they use 60 drops per mil lah. So they call it as record drip set. Okay. You want apa? You want, we can actually know. Okay. That's for today, the introduction. So we will have our friend, as I said, I promise you, Chris Hemsworth is going to actually help you with the practical fluid therapy. Okay, so are you ready to see Mr. Chris? Ready? Ready,
Yeah.
Okay. Alamak, kejap. I have to stop sharing first. Okay. Sekejap mana dia punya video dia? What happened? Where's my video? Sekejap. Mr. Chris, where are you, Mr. Chris? Sekejap. Okay, hold on what? What's the video? Oh, okay. Can you see not? Video. Nampak tak? Kenapa?
No.
No, kejap.
Tak nampak.
Kejap. Teknologi menyusahkan betul lah. Sekejap. Yes, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. Not sure lah whether the class is going to be morning or afternoon. I just, because this is a recording, we actually follow the timing of the morning. Okay, today because of kejap guys. Allah. Pula dah. Okay, alright. Okay, kejap. Okay. Alright. COVID-19 pandemic. So today,
We can hear echo, doctor.
Sekejap.
Doktor, tadi before doktor guna dua apa user ni, kita boleh nampak. Ha.
Kejap. Why I got double sound
Dekat sini nampak ada dua doktor. Doktor guna
Ada dua Kejap. I meeting. Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, you can see Krim Hemsworth tak? Nampak tak?
Everyone, not sure lah.
Boleh, doktor.
Ni Krim Hemsworth.
Just because this is recording, we actually follow the timing lah, which is in the morning. Okay, today, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we cannot have physical practicals lah. So today, the practical is on by demo video demonstration. Okay, we have Cik Aiman here and then Cik Koyum, my student over here. Okay, right, today we would like actually to demo to you lah on fluid therapy. Okay, just now I've already give you a bit lah about the lecture lah on fluid therapy. Okay, what's the rule of fluid therapy? How do you do calculations for fluid therapy? Okay, today is actually I'm going to demonstrate to you lah on the use, how you actually set up a fluid therapy and some of the requirements lah of doing for fluid therapy lah. Okay, based on the calculations that you did previously, the one that I teach you, I taught you previously during the lecture just now. Okay, so when you have a case, when you want to actually administer fluids to animals, okay, you have to actually know what is the weight of the animal, the nature of fluid therapy you want to give to the animals and stuff like that. Okay, so if you want to use subcutaneous route, okay, or maybe you want to use oral fluid therapy, okay, this one is totally different things. We already explained to you just now. So now is actually how we want to give an intravenous fluid therapy lah to patients lah. Okay, so first of all, I would like to actually introduce lah to you this guy lah. Okay, we have a mannequin lah. I cannot do it on live animals lah because we don't have live animal at the moment, so we use a mannequin. This is a mannequin. You can give name whatever name you want to give him, or we can give name like Blackie or whatever, T'Challa or something like that. Okay, I have a black cat at home. T'Challa is his name. Okay, so fluid therapy, for intravenous fluid therapy, we have two sets. Okay, we have this one. It's called as okay, clearly this one is called as micro drip set. Okay, micro drip set. Okay, and the one we have over here is actually the macro drip set. Okay, it's totally simple to understand. Although it's big, the packaging is quite big. Even the item itself is big. It's called as micro. Okay, and although this drip set is much smaller, it's called as macro drip set. Why is it? Okay, later on I will actually explain lah to you lah why. Okay, we have also this item. Okay, you can focus clearly. This is the stopper. I will explain to you what is the function of the stopper. And butterfly filter. Okay, butterfly filter to the set the tubing is set into the line lah. administer the fluid to the animals. Okay. Alright. So things about the micro, I will actually explain first about the drip set. We have this thing called the micro drip set. Why is it micro? Okay, because the micro drip set, okay, is for you to actually administer the fluids to the animals. If the amount of the fluid that you need, based on your calculations, you need to administer only 120 mils per, okay, per cycle lah. Okay, let's say you have a much small. When you want to use this drip set, okay, when you have an animal, just when you calculate the amount of fluid you need to give to the animals, like let's say for example like this blackie guy over here, let's say when he's only needed like 100 mils hydration lah. Hydration meaning that to give the fluid to the animals. So we need to use this drip set lah. This is the micro drip set. Okay, another factor that actually needs to be looked into before you choose which drip set you want to use is the weight of the animals lah. Okay, let's say animal which is although they require only a little amount of fluid lah, not much lah, maybe not until up to what 500 mils for example per day in the 24 hours. Okay, but the weight of the animal is big. Let's say we have a horse for example, 400 kilogram, okay, but the amount of fluid they needed maybe less than 500 ml or less than 1 liter for example. Okay, you only need you can use this macro drip set lah, okay, because thing is that the amount of fluid you give to the animals is actually based on the weight of the animal, based on the calculation you did previously lah. Okay, alright, let's say this is the micro drip set. Okay, you do the calculations and everything. Okay, you see that the animals requires only 100 mils lah. Okay, you see. Before that, I will actually explain to you the anatomy lah, the structure inside this micro drip set. Okay, this is the needle. Okay, where you actually insert it to the fluids lah we have. Okay, let's say this is the fluid we have. Okay. Okay, the fluid that we have. Okay, this one actually where you insert this needle into the fluid bag lah. Okay. Alright. Okay. Then we have, this is the adjuster lah. Okay. Can you actually, this is the adjuster for you to actually adjust the amount of fluids, okay, you need to give to the animals lah, the adjuster lah. Okay, not to say the amount of fluid, you need to adjust the drops, okay, of fluid you need to administer to the animal. Okay, for micro drip set, alright, 60 drops per mil lah. Meaning that you calculate, let's say you have 60 drops, then it really equals for a mil of fluid lah. Okay, that's the calculations for this micro drip set lah. Okay, alright, so this is the adjuster yang I tell you. Okay, this is the fluid chamber lah. Okay, so meaning that one thing about micro drip set, that they have this fluid chamber in which you can actually calculate the amount of fluid you need to give to the animals lah overnight. Okay, let's say this guy, okay, it's actually needed 400 mils of, let's say 250 mils of fluid in 24 hours. Okay, let's say you need to drip the animals at 9 AM. Okay, 9 AM in the morning. Okay, so you get the amount is 250 mils. Okay, this chamber, okay, they can only fit until 120 mils. Okay, so by right the requirement of the fluid is around maybe 240 divided by 24 is 24 mils per hour. Okay, so you can actually estimate. Okay, there's 24 mils per hour, so 12 hours if your requirement is already 120 mils. You can fit this whole thing. So you give at 9 AM in the morning. So by the time you need to actually top up the fluid to to
Yeah.
meet the requirement
I'm not sure if you can see it, tapi kita orang nampak video doktor sangkut-sangkut.
on your home at night.
Oh, itu yang internet
Top up
connection tu sebenarnya.
120 minutes. So that by the time
I think everyone is experiencing the same thing, doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Sim for me.
Yes, doctor, same thing. It's like your audio is okay, but then your video is glitching, like
Yeah.
glitching.
Glitch. Okay, okay. Since when lah? Since the start, the beginning ah?
Tak baru je doktor, baru few seconds, minute.
Yeah.
2 minutes ago.
Okay, I'll reverse. This part ah? Buat try balik.
Okay, let's say this is the food that we have.
Okay. Glitch dah?
Okay doktor, tak.
Okay.
Okay, tak. Okay, Dr.
Okay, dah. Okay.
Okay, the fluid that we have. Okay, this one actually where you insert this needle into
Doctor,
the
it's still glitching.
Glitching juga. Semua orang ke?
right.
Semua orang.
Doktor.
This is the
Yes, doctor, glitching for me also.
Yeah.
can use.
Okay. Sekejap. How ah? Okay, tak apa. Siapa-siapa yang okay, tengok dulu. Siapa-siapa yang glitch nanti, I akan upload this video dalam pukul 12. Jadi boleh tengok Tak tahu, kita internet connection misalnya okay je. Tak ada masalah. Yelah memang ada masalah. Boleh punya komputer kan, tak apa. PC lah.
Okay, actually this is adjuster for you to actually adjust the amount of fluids. Okay, you need to give to the animals lah, the adjuster lah. Okay, not to say the amount of fluid, you need to adjust the drops, okay, of fluid you need to administer to the animal. Okay, for micro reset, alright, 60 drops per mil lah. Meaning that you calculate, let's say you have 60 drops, then actually equals for a mil of fluid lah. Okay, that's the calculations for this micro reset lah. Okay, alright, so this is the adjuster yang I tell you. Okay, this is the fluid chamber lah. Okay, so meaning that one thing about micro reset is that they have this fluid chamber in which you can actually calculate the amount of fluid you need to give to the animals lah overnight. Okay, let's say this guy, okay, it's actually needed 400 mils of, 250 mils of fluid in 24 hours. Okay, let's say you need to treat the animals at 9 a.m. Okay, 9 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so you calculate the amount is 250 mils. Okay, this chamber, okay, they can only fit until 120 mils. Okay, so by right the requirement of the fluid is around maybe 240 divided by 24 is 24 mils per hour. Okay, so you can actually estimate. Okay, there's 24 mils per hour, so 12 hours the requirement is already 120 mils. Okay, you can fit this whole thing. So you give at 9 a.m. in the morning. So by the time you need to actually top up the fluid to meet the requirement of the animals, okay, before you leave for your house or your home at night, you can top up until 120 mils. So that by the time you reach the clinic back or the wards next day, okay, you be given to the animals. So complete the requirement of the animals for the day. Okay, all right. And also this is another adjuster lah. Okay, if you see the first adjuster is actually to admit the amount of fluid needed from the fluid bag, okay, and then goes to the chamber where you actually fill the fluids. And this is the adjuster, the most important adjuster lah, in which you want to adjust the amount of fluids you need to give to the animals. Okay, let's say just now they say the calculation is 24 mils per hour. Okay, so meaning that you need to further divide to see how many mils requirement per minute. Okay, this one you can actually adjust from this adjuster lah. Okay, alright. This is the tube. The tube actually administer fluids from the fluid chamber into the animals lah. Okay, alright. This adjuster is actually where you need to connect it to the three-way stopper. Okay, what is the three-way stopper? Three-way stopper is the a device actually to control the flow of the fluids in which you can actually control with the flow of the fluid, whether it needs to go to the animals, okay, you need to go back to the, okay, to stop the fluid from going back to the animal and stuff like that. Okay, bawa kamera cabut, ejak kat sini, dekat sikit.
Just tu.
Cabut, bawa je ke sini. Bawa je ke depan. Alright, okay. I think the one is much more clear lah. Okay. Okay, secure the three-way stopper. Okay, and then this is the butterfly catheter lah, in which you insert the fluid into the animals. Okay. Okay, secure. Right? This is the area where you actually insert. Okay. Later on I will explain about how you do the thing. Okay, I want to explain to you first about the butterfly catheter. Okay. You can see the butterfly catheter, the three-way stopper. Okay, this is how you actually install the three-way stopper. Okay. The flow of the fluid actually follows the flow of the three-way stopper. Okay. If you see the flow from the tubes into the animals, should be like this. Okay, let's say you want to administer some medication to the animals. Okay, you have to do what you have to do is actually to adjust this three-way stopper. Okay, right. So you need to adjust here so that the fluid is stopped. It's not going to the animals. All right. If you want to give medications to the animals, okay, you need to adjust it this way, okay, so that you can insert. First, you need to insert. You stop this. You need to insert the, let's say, the syringe. Ada syringe tak? Mine. Okay, let's say this is the syringe lah. I actually tell you this is the syringe. Ada dulu lah the syringe. Okay, this is where I administer the medication, and then you just this way. So you push the medication. You goes to the animals. Okay, easy. That's the function of the three-way stopper. Let's say after the animal finished, okay, you need to remove the fluid from the animals. Okay, just this way, and then you put the lid back. Okay, and then you can actually remove, and then put the lid back here. It's not the lid. Okay, okay, and then you can remove the fluid. Okay, that's for the microbrew set. Easy, is it? Okay. So how do you want to administer to the animals? Okay, let's say the black panther here, Salah over here. Okay, the location, anatomical location, which vein you are looking at to give the fluid. Okay, the most basic is actually to give it to the vein at the front. Anybody knows what's the name of the vein? Okay, it's the cephalic vein. Cephalic vein. Okay, you need to secure the animals. Okay, secure the hands. Make sure you shave the area. If the animal is too hairy, you need to shave the animals. Okay, so that you can expose the cephalic vein. Okay. If you are not comfortable doing it, some people which is very experienced veterinarian, they can actually do it alone. But if you are not, if you're new and you're not actually confident to do it alone, you can have another friend to help you lah. Maybe later on your clinic helper to restrain the animals lah. Okay, normally we do the administration of fluid therapy, intravenous fluid therapy with cats on a table, so that easier for a person who actually helping you to restrain the animals to put it on the table. Okay, this is how you actually do. Also, if you're afraid that the animals might bite the person in front of you administering the intravenous, when you can actually secure the neck area lah. Okay, so that it doesn't actually bite lah. Okay, so hold the hand like this and then try to push the area on top of the cephalic vein so that you can actually make the vein appear clearly. So when you insert the butterfly catheter, okay, insert the butterfly catheter, okay, right, insert the butterfly catheter into the vein, and then you can actually remove the needle. So when you remove the needle, okay, the tube actually stays in there, and then you can secure with a bandage. Okay, and again, before you make sure, before you need to know whether you actually poking or inserting the needle in the right place, withdraw a bit. If you can see blood, actually you're in the right place. Okay, because there are some cases where when you put the needle into the wrong area, and then you give fluids later on, actually become bulge. The fluid goes into the subcutaneous space in that area surrounding the cephalic vein. Okay, that's how you do the fluid administration for small animal using the micro drip set. Okay, welcome back. Okay, this is we actually concluded just now about how you want to actually administer and how you actually want to set up the anatomy, the structure of the micro drip set. So now I'm actually to explain to you about the use of the macro drip set. Okay, macro drip set. The name itself, although it's small, it's macro because the opening of the macro drip set is much bigger than for micro drip set. In which in micro drip set, 60 drops of the fluid equals to 1 ml. In which in this macro drip set, okay, it's 20 drops per mil again, 20 drops per mil, meaning that you see, you can see the drop here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and until 20 it becomes 1 mil. So it's easier to give this fluid in a much more bigger volume because why? In micro drip set, they have this chamber Okay, we can actually administer fluids until 120 ml, in which the macro drip set, okay, it's actually the needle goes directly to the fluids Let's say, for example, we have the normal saline which is the common fluid we give for dehydration patients. This is 500 ml. Okay, easier for you to give this kind of fluids if you have a much bigger animals Let's say you have horse, maybe cattles. Okay, maybe a large dogs. Let's say you have German Shepherd, okay, Rottweilers. Okay, Chihuahua is a big or large dog. Okay, no, a large dog. Let's say German Shepherd, Rottweiler, Doberman, all these big animals that weighs maybe like 40-50 kilos Okay, so easier for you to actually use macro drip set because you can administer a much larger volume of fluids to the animals. Because larger animals, when they have dehydration, they require a lot more fluids to be replaced Okay, so this is the needle where you insert the needle to the fluid. Okay, and then this is we also have this adjuster You can adjust how many drops of fluid you require for the animals Okay, and then they have this chamber in which you insert the tubes, the butterfly catheter tubing into the area Okay, I just want to explain more about this because it's the same thing concept. And also, if you wanted to use also the sugar stopper for this also you can if let's say you wanted to give some form of medications to the animals Okay, with sugar stopper also goes this way. If you can also give directly the fluid if you don't require. Maybe the only thing that the animal requires is only fluids. Okay, they no need any other type of medications Okay, so it goes directly to the. Okay, how do you want to give it? Let's say you calculate the amount of fluids for the animals for in 24 hours. The requirement is maybe 480 mils of fluid So 480 mils. So 24 hours. In an hour, they require around 40 mil lah. Automatic aku ni betul tidak? 40 mil I think. 40 mils per hour lah. Okay. This is a kaki retort kan. Remember kaki retort? Okay. But in the word you don't use kaki retort lah. You obviously use the hook. Okay, in which you can actually hang the fluids lah. Right. Okay. Alright. I show you lah how you want to give this. Okay, before you want to use this, make sure this adjuster is securely fastened lah, so that if you let it, securely fastened lah. If you actually let go of it, they will actually flow lah the fluid. Okay, just adjust the, so you can close, fully close. Okay. Alright. Insert. Mana nak buka ni? Yang dah buka boleh tak? Cik, ada gayung tajam.
Yang tu dah buka.
Ini kat. Tak apalah, ini okey ni. Man, tak apa. Boleh. Okay, make sure this is for demo. Because when you want to use it in real life, make sure you don't your workspace needs to be clean, you know. Okay, sterile, because this thing is sterile. Okay. If you accidentally put this somewhere, you need to actually sterile the. Okay. Okay, and then you can actually hang. Okay. Let's say you adjusted that requirement, maybe 48 mils per hour. So 48 mils per hour divide by 60. 48 divided by 60. 1 hour 60 minutes. So how many drops per minute you need to give to the animals? Okay, let's say you require only 10 drops per minute. Okay, so that 10 drops per minute maybe around 20 drops, 20 drops, that's half a mil. Okay, half a mil. So you need to adjust lah. Okay, this is quite, you can actually adjust. Let's see. So let's say 10 drops per minute. Okay, adjust. Okay, this two. Okay, something like that lah. You can actually adjust using that adjuster lah. So time yourself. Okay, see whether how many drops per minute you can get from this. Okay, alright, it's quite simple lah. So if you got 10 drops per minute, that's around 3 drops, 2 drops per 50 seconds, something like that. Quite difficult lah, but you can actually adjust lah. Okay, that's how you actually install a macro drip set lah. Okay, but this one is for teaching purposes lah. Let's say at the back at VH, if the fluid requirements, if you say the drops they need the animal is need to be precise, they have a machine, like a machine that can actually that actually looks like a machine. Okay, imagine this is the machine lah. You can actually open the machine. There's like a line over there in which you can actually insert the tube, and then you close back, and then you can adjust how many drops you need to give to the animals lah. Let's say you need only 10 drops per minute, you can adjust on the machine. So the machine will actually clamp lah. They could require clamp the tube to get the precise amount of drops you need to give in a minute. The one is actually if you are if you are it's a very rich veterinarian later on, you can use that machine lah. Okay. Alright. I think that's all for the demonstration on the fluid therapy. Okay. If you have any questions after the video, you can ask questions. We can actually discuss. Okay, about the topic that we actually doing today lah. Okay. With that, thank you very much. Alright. Okay, you can ask questions now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Hemsworth. No, I managed to get Mr. Chris Hemsworth today lah with you guys. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's basically the gist of it lah. How does a macro and macro reset actually, how you install and everything lah. Okay. All right. Any questions you want to ask? And actually, if those with glitches just now, sorry about that. I will actually email. Oh, sorry. I will actually upload this video to Clubhouse so you can actually have a look. Okay. Any questions? Oh, you want to see the video again? Oh, you actually want to see Mr. Amford again? Ada. No one, Okay. Right. Okay, I have some fluid therapy calculation. But I will actually give you this. I will actually give the attachment to Nimalan. Okay, Nimalan will actually later on will distribute this thing. You can actually have a look and try to actually work it on yourself. The calculation based on the practical that I give with you today, this afternoon. So later on when we have when the semester adjourn, better returns the week after next, okay, so we will discuss about it lah. Okay, we can actually discuss about how does we do the calculations for liver fluids for the animals lah. Okay. I need to okay, jangan di mana I pass to you the file. Because okay, any questions?
Doctor.
Yes,
Doctor, I have question. Is that okay if there's an air bubbles inside the wire?
Yeah, okay. All right. Air bubbles or something, sometimes we call it as emboli, air emboli. Okay, that's very dangerous. You cannot have air emboli inside your tube. Okay, that's another thing you have to, I mentioned before, if you have any, when you come to the wards first day in the morning, other than checking the line with which is, if the line is patent or not, another thing you have to check whether the line has any air bubbles lah. Okay, if there are any air bubbles, you have to actually detach the fluid therapy, detach the line, the IV line from the animal and actually remove the air bubble. Then you can actually reattach the IV line to the animals lah. Okay, air bubble is dangerous stuff. You cannot let it actually goes inside the blood vessels. Later on, we have air emboli. We have problems later on lah. Air emboli, sometimes they can cause you stroke, if the air bubble actually travel all the way to the brain, then it actually can cause stroke. Okay. Any other question? Mana I punya? Ni nak bagi ni mana?
Doctor.
Yep.
For fluid therapy, right? So we can use as one of the anesthetic protocol. We can use it or not?
Anesthetic protocol for?
I mean macam kita nak gunakan fluid therapy untuk anesthetic. Macam kita nak bagi injection through IM ke IV ke?
Fluid therapy. Okay. We don't give IV, we don't give anesthetic through fluid therapy because why? Fluid therapy itself, when you dilute it inside like a solvent and you insert it to through to the eye to the vein. It's actually the the dose itself actually enough for the for anesthesia. Okay, if you mix together with fluids, actually they become diluted, and the effects of the anesthesia is actually not achieved. Say you cannot give anesthesia through fluid therapy lah. Okay. Ni practical ni mana ni? Sekejap cari. Apa later on lah ni Malan. Nanti I find I will actually WhatsApp to you the calculation. Okay?
Boleh doktor.
Alright. Okay, any other questions? We try we yeah.
Saya ada question like before this like we learned like physics and math macam kalau like the height of the IV fluid punya bag tu will influence the speed.
The height meaning that if you hang the bags higher, so the fluid will actually go faster.
Yeah, something like
Okay. Okay. That kind of things actually is more towards the hydraulic. Kalau belajar fizik kan dia panggil hydraulic, dia punya hydraulic mechanism ke whatever, right? I'm not sure. I think ask to my wife. My wife ajar fizik kat sekolah. So if you hang the bag quite high, it actually doesn't mean anything in animals because the amount of fluids actually that goes how fast or rapid that is based on the the flow of the blood circulation lah. How when flow actually they create when the blood circulate actually they create the like some sort of pressures for it to actually the fluids actually goes much more faster or lower in the animals. So that's why you see if animal is quite weak and then the blood circulation is not very rapid, and that's why they try to use other type of fluid administration instead of using IV. Okay, they probably can use intraperitoneal lah because if you give the fluids in a very weak patient actually the blood flow is quite weak. Okay, the amount of fluids actually if you hang a bit higher or lower, it doesn't actually make any difference. Okay, all right. I have a question from what happens if you give the fluid too fast? Okay, if you give the fluid too fast, actually depends on what route are you giving. If you give in oral, okay, if you give too fast, okay, you try to imagine yourself. If you drink too fast, what happened to you? Okay, if you give the fluid orally to animals too fast, they actually will choke lah. Okay, if you choking and then the fluid actually will goes to the trachea and goes to the lung. Okay, IV. If you give fluids IV to animals, if it's too fast, it doesn't actually makes any difference lah. Okay, right? Fast or slow, okay, as long as the fluid goes into the blood vessels lah. And you know that inside the blood vessels, the flow of blood is very very quick. Okay, so doesn't make any difference if you give too fast or too slow. Okay, any other questions?
For maintenance fluid, is it fixed? The dosage for adults is 50, young is 110 for all animals or for small animal?
Okay, maintenance volume. All right.
Yeah.
As I said, it comes to that kind of figures. It's all they have a couple school of thoughts. Certain books if you refer to, they put young animals 110. Okay, and for adult animal, sometimes they put 60, 70, depends. Okay, but the standard that we use is 50 for adults and 110 for young animals. 100 for young animals. Right. Okay, any question? You dah makan belum? Dah makan tengah hari? Oh, supper already. Supper, tea already. I tengah makan. Any other questions? Semua dah bosan Okay, tak apalah. If not any questions, okay, I think that's all for today. Remember, I told Mira already, I need the video, the montage for for the PBI case on the 14th of January lah. 14th of December, January. Okay. On the first day of semester reopens lah. Alright. Okay, if not, thank you very much. Selamat bercuti lah. Happy holiday to all. Wah, asam Januari pun. Jangan ada Januari. Aduh, dah bagi masa lama. Aduh. Okay, yelah, buatlah video simple je video montage. Letaklah lagu-lagu. Background tu BTS ke, apa ke. Letak background song. As long as the montage looks exciting lah, interesting lah. Okay. Alright. If not, thank you very much. Happy holiday to you guys. Selamat pulang ke kampung. Okay. I know you guys are in the campus. Balik kampung baik-baik. Alright. Those who are in KL lah nak balik kampung. But cannot go out lah because KPB kan. So nothing we can do lah. So okay. I'll see you guys on 14th of December. Ni malam 14th December my class Kita clarify lagi.
I'm not sure.
Tak sure kan? Nanti I check. Nanti I check.
Okay.
Alright, thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.